It's the Infinite Podcast. Go tell your friends. It's the Infinite Podcast. My God, it never ends. It's the Infinite Podcast with Rob and Cork the Q.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite Podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom. From movies, comics, TV shows, video games, we got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here, as always, with Court. Court, we're doing another movie this week.
Yeah. I love the movies. This is great.
I also love the movies.
What did you see?
Well, at the ripe time of 11:45 this morning, I saw Furiosa, a Mad Max story. Can we stop doing that, by the way? With movies, the subtitle thing.
Unfortunately, that's never going to go away. So
the Book of Saw. What else?
The Book of Boba Fett.
The Book of Boba Fett. Just get rid of
Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yep. There's that too. Just all of it. I don't need it anymore. You know?
But what about the name recognition? How are people going to go see the movie? Oh wait, they're still not going to see the movie.
They already named it Furiosa. If you don't remember Furiosa from
you're Furiosa from the Mad Max lore.
Yeah. Yeah. They had that covered already. We didn't need to add them, but studios. And we're going to talk about that because there's some studio-ness involved in this movie that we have to talk about. We're going to talk about Furiosa. We both liked it, and we're going to talk about why we liked it. But first, we do have some news. Unfortunately, starting with some really unfortunate news. So, a couple days ago, the comic community, lost a pioneer of I don't know how you would explain it other than like the long form kind of YouTube storytelling.
Yeah.
Ben Potter, also known as Comicstorian, died at the age of 40 from a car accident. We have come to find out. Just really, really, really unfortunate because, I mean, I don't know about you, but that guy...
What? He's a staple of my love for comics comes through way of him, Sal, Comics Explained, Rob at Comics Explained. I mean, so many different YouTubers, but I mean, when you talk about the absolute titans of the YouTube game, truthfully, it was Comicstorian and Comics Explained. And just watching Comics Explained video about, their friendship, it's just like, it's heartbreaking, man. And it's like, YouTube's in this weird realm where like people pass away and it's always sad. And when that happened, it was such this weird reaction not weird, but it was such this like gut-wrenching reaction when it happened because you don't realize how people that are around like movies, music, like they're always around, but you don't realize how around like YouTubers are in like your daily life of like, oh, this YouTuber dropped, like how it ingratiated into your life they are. And like thinking about it, Comicstorian was ingratiated into my life for so many years. I mean, you made a great point. Like, I don't know anybody that's it's not, because, the beauty of, like, Comics Explained is, like, he's breaking down so much of the comic, like, the lore, the comic, the past, what influences, but Comicstorian is, like, he's like a anthropologist of comics almost in, like, the most epic of ways. Like, I mean, what I wanted to ask you is what your favorite, I'll ask at the end what your favorite, like, what your favorite, summation he's ever done. But, it's one of those things where he's so close to you. And like a lot of these YouTubers are so close to you, but it's just, again, it's what we say, like how we just joked about it, like how much we love the movies. Like we love comics, all these things. And it's just like, until he just passed away, like you don't realize how big of a person he was in the comic community. I mean, him and Comics Explained were on the rise during the rise of the MCU at a perfect time, and like without them, like so many like Marvel Comics themselves has to be thankful for these guys for the amount of people like they're breaking down their comics. People are going further and making sure they're watching all these things, and like this is the storyline that they're about to do in this movie. Let's break down this comic that it came from. And like, I mean, his voice was iconic. I mean, he's one of those, like I said, it's a weird place to be in because like he was so close while being so far, if that makes sense. He was just so close in everyday life of just watching these videos, just having a good time of like the epic nature of comics. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think you're making a really great point about YouTubers and, kind of like these social media kind of stars really have this interpersonal nature about them, like just because of the medium. Like, you know, it's not something that, you know, we're all watching at the same time. It's not like a communal thing, but it also is. But it's also this interpersonal thing where, you know, you'd be running, you know, however many YouTube videos in a row, like just kind of hanging out by yourself, just throw on a Comicstorian video about whatever comic or whatever, just not even necessarily, you might not even be interested in it or have heard of it, but you just enjoy his work. So you're just like, let me just throw this on. And then all of a sudden you find yourself being into it, you know?
And it's such a great way, what him and Comics Explained, Rob pioneered, the two of them were really the idea of like that comics didn't need to be this thing that was inaccessible because you have to go to like, hey, if you don't have like, it's great for younger audiences, like younger people too, because like, hey, you don't need to go to like, obviously, and they always say it like, go to your and Ben always said it at the end of the video, go to your local comic shop and support them. Like, I can only do so much. And, like, he was conscious of that. Like, I can only do so much. Make sure you go to your local comic shop and keep buying the issues of this thing. Like, I can only explain so much, what I think is just it was very great of him to do that at the end of each video, too. But yeah, man, that one was like, I mean, I texted you, like, one, because I didn't find out right away, and I just, like, hopped on Twitter, and I saw it, and I was like, it didn't even feel real at first. I was like, what do you mean Comicstorian passed away? Like, that just, it doesn't even feel like a thing that can happen. And that's where the real world and the human element comes into it. It's just such an unfortunate thing. But just to see all the people that, you know, loved him and, you know, all the stories about him too, it's just like, you can tell that he was a great guy. So.
Yeah, it just sucks. Anytime this type of thing happens, it's just terrible. Especially, like I said, we have these like celebrities. It's one thing, but then you have like these interpersonal like. I mean, it sounds silly because like everyone at the end of the day is just like a regular person.
Yeah,
but like,
I know the point you're trying to make. Right?
But you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like this guy really was just like a regular person. Like he wasn't, you know, he didn't have incredible fame. Like he wasn't like a movie star or a TV star. Like he had internet fame, of course, but you just see like this ordinary guy who just had like a passion about a thing and affected so many people, which is crazy. It's you know, it's a testament to the medium too, and just you know, his wife, obviously just condolences to his wife who broke the news to the internet, and she has gone on and said that, you know, his team and her, like, they're going to continue kind of his legacy and I guess keep the thing going, which I think would be really great because, like you said, he was really a touchstone for the comic community in particular. Like, you know, he didn't at all talk about movies, TV shows, anything like that. It was strictly
not
comics.
Like the last, like, what, 3 years, I think he started dipping in, but because I know him and Rob had the podcast, but I know for, like, those years, like, the height, like, when the MCU was at the, like 2011, 2012, like 2010, 20, like that was strictly like, this is comics. Like, these are the comics that are going on. I'm going to mention that this movie is, like, it has to pertain to this comic, but like, I just, like, one of my favorite ones that he's ever done was the Dark Side War for DC. Like, just the epic nature of him talking about, like, you know, Flash, God of Death, or like Batman, God of Not, like all those things. Like, he just, like I said, he just brings like a grandeur to comics, and like it made it feel like, makes it feel so cool. Like these, like, and he was the definition of like personification of what comics can be.
Yeah, I always point to the Injustice one as one of my favorites because
that one has like, I mean, like 6 and maybe even more. It might have been like the tens of millions of views.
Yeah, cause, I mean, you know, I said it to you yesterday when we were talking about, you know, his passing. Like, he's probably one of the only ones that could have made sense of Injustice, and he did Core Injustice, Gods Among Us, then he went back and did Injustice Year Zero 1 through 6. Then he did Injustice 2, like, and like you could follow it, like as kind of, you know, scattered and as nonsensical as that storyline can get.
But there's
like,
energy behind it
that keeps you invested. Yeah,
like I said, he's like, if Comics Explained is like, he's like, I'm gonna dive deep into everything and tell you like all these things. Like, he's like the train. Like, he's like, no, you're coming on the story with me. I'm not gonna sit here and break everything down. Like, me and you are going to walk through this comic, and I'm gonna make this the most epic thing I can. And
then, you know, like you said, it paves the way and gives you a gateway to further exploring it if you want to. Like, he's like, hey, here's the story, here are the characters, we're gonna go on this ride, and if you really vibe with it, like, you know, now the world is your oyster, you know what I mean? I think that's a really great touchstone, especially for comics, because we've talked about before. It's unique, and we talked about it when we did Kingdom Come. Like, you know, comics can be inaccessible at times. There's decades worth of material, and you can feel overwhelmed when you're like, hey, I really like Batman, and then you look at the library and you're like, oh my god. So like his channel was such a great touchstone for being like, you know, I like Batman, like, and you can just go to Comicstorian and find a bunch of Batman stories, and that's your launch point. You know what I mean? So just sucks, man. This always sucks. And like you said, you know, it hits a little bit harder with these social media personalities, because like I said, they aren't mega famous. They just feel like regular people. Like they feel like you and I, like, you know what I mean?
Like
it's
all the stories of like the cons of all the people that met him as well too, and just being like an absolutely energizer bunny of a human being that's just like full of life. So
it's just super, super unfortunate. So RIP to Ben Potter, Comicstorian. You know, definitely been revisiting a couple of them in the last few days too. Just being like, man, you know, it sounds simple, like what he did, but he had a talent. Yeah,
he that's such an incredible. He had talent. Talent is just like, it's the talent of self-awareness too from him, to be like, you know, listen, when I start this, like I have to realize like comics is very, like, unfortunately comics is sort of an inside baseball type of ordeal. So how do I make this the most accessible to everybody? And that's through like I said, it's that energy that he brings. And again, it's not, he's so unique he was so unique in the fact that it's not like, I'm going to do this thing where I'm going to break down every bit of those comics. Like he was such a great coupling with Comics Explained, because if I want to really dive into this thing and know every detail, I'm going to go to a Comics Explained. But if I need to catch up on this comic that I can't read right now, I'm going to go to Comicstorian, because he's the storyteller. Comics Explained is the breakdown that I need. It's just, it was such a great, he was incredible at what he did. It's just, and I was always entertained. I will, to the last day that I'm here, I will always be entertained by watching a Comicstorian video. Yeah,
and in a world that, you know, 30-minute, 45-minute YouTube videos like shouldn't have breathing space. I mean, especially when he first started. Like obviously the long form stuff is way more popular now. Like some people go on 2-3 hour video essays dissecting a movie or a TV show. Like, but like when he first started doing it, man, like YouTube had, you know, these really kind of strict regulations towards longer form videos.
All
like
those things, like
you could only do, you know, certain videos of certain lengths depending on your following. So like it just shows how effective he was at that he was granted that kind of that openness too. So yeah, just a shame, man. It really sucks. And, you know, as always, I say there's no easy way to transition out of that stuff. But we do have some other news, starting with some video game stuff. So we had Summer Games Fest and the Microsoft Xbox Showcase that took place over the weekend. So Summer Games Fest is Jeff Keighley's thing. It's the summer version of the Game Awards. And it was an okay show. I mean, Jeff said beforehand, like, temper your expectations a little bit. And it was fine. I thought there was a lot of good stuff for a lot of different people. Jeff really made a point of, you know, talking about like single developers and independent developers, and talking about how the top 10 games on Steam, 8 of 10 are independent developers or single developers, which is really cool. But the thing that really impressed me, to be quite honest, was the Xbox Showcase. I was really, really impressed with what Xbox showed off, especially starting with obviously Black Ops 6.
Took a big swing, and you know, they did a smart thing, but starting with it, not ending with it, because I think the PlayStation in the room and the Sony in the room is probably what prompted that. I think they knew that whatever they were going to do to get people to watch, they needed to take the surefire swing. And I think there's a swing later that they did, and there's the first one, and, you know, name recognition. Keep it simple. Name recognition. Now Microsoft owned, correct, for Black Ops. Like now, hey, here you go. Like this is the thing everybody's been asking for. That Black Ops 6 feels very classic, if that makes sense. Feels very classic. Feels very Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2 realm of thinking, kind of just storytelling wise, even with this is going to take place in the 90s, I believe. So
yeah, again, one of those things that lets me know how old I am. that we're doing this. I just remember those first Black Ops games were Cold War, Vietnam War, all that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that stuff is ancient history. And now Black Ops 6 is talking about like the Gulf War and in the 90s. Like I think there's going to be some 9/11 related stuff in it. Just seeing like, you know, like President H.W. Bush and President Clinton like being like digitized as part of this like Black Ops conspiracy that like I remember obviously like you would see like Kennedy and Nixon and like Fidel Castro, and I'm like, yeah, the old times, and now like I'm the old times. So I'm like, oh no. But yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed the Black Ops games. I haven't played one in forever.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But those were always the most interesting COD campaigns for me.
Oh, 100%.
With the Black Ops ones.
Favorite campaign that you've played from any of the Modern Warfares?
Modern Warfare?
Or both?
Black Ops?
Both, yeah.
Probably the Black Ops 2 campaign is still my favorite. Kind of like
25, baby.
Wrapping up the campaign of Alex Mason and all that stuff, like
Woods' son. Yep.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the Black Ops 2 campaign, and you know, I'm looking forward to this one too. But they showed off a ton of stuff at this Xbox showcase. A new Gears of War game.
Yeah, people were talking about that quite a bit.
Yep. I mean, Gears of War is one of Xbox's obviously staples, right up there with Halo, and it's a prequel. It's going to be a prequel. Yeah. It's not going to be it's the fifth Gears of War game, but it is not a Gears of War 5. So we're going, which I mean, we're in the age of nostalgia, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, people obviously love Gears of War for the gameplay, but they also really identify with Dom and Marcus Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And, you know, going back to, I guess it's going to be E-Day, so it's going to be like the start of the Locust invasion. So that's awesome too. I mean, like I said, they came out swinging, man. Right. And then, I mean, the thing that stood out to me was a lot of these. And I don't have the titles in front of me of everything that came out, but they really are chasing that Sony third-person action.
Yes, that's the biggest
story-driven.
From that.
They're finally doing it, and it feels like Xbox never really had one. And then they came out with this Xbox showcase and showed off, I think, like 3 of them at least, of these kind of story-driven, narrative-driven action kind of action games that Sony obviously has had a stranglehold on for decades now. When you think about Uncharted, when you think about Last of Us, when you think about Ghost of Tsushima, you think about Horizon, and now Xbox seems to be finally getting on board. And I think that's cool. I think one of the big drivers in terms of like the quote unquote console war is, you know, Xbox players being like, why don't we have like our own Ghost of Tsushima, our own Last of Us? And now it seems like maybe they will.
Yeah, I mean, Fable looks. I'm just.
Fable's back.
It looks phenomenal. I mean, talk about a gameplay reveal that had people talking to, and to your point, and it's a point we're going to keep making. Like, I think we're in an age of, you know, I feel like we said, we're older now. We're not the same age that we were playing these games when we were younger. So we're not at the point like I can just put on Madden for hours and just be like, I can't do that anymore.
Yep.
Something like this is where I'm at. Like, I need to get something from it if I'm going to sit down and play these games now. And like, Fable looks like that. Indiana Jones looks really great. Yeah, when I was Troy Baker I think he's doing pretty solid as Indiana Jones. I want to see I have a big question. I wonder how this gameplay is going. That's my only concern for this Indiana Jones game is the actual gameplay. I'm slightly concerned on how engaging it's going to be because I think, you know, obviously story. I just don't think there's anything breaking out of this. But I think it's going to be a lot of puzzle solving, a lot, you know, kind of how, you know, what's the studio that did they didn't do. They did do the Jedi games.
Respawn, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be maybe a bit Respawn inspired by, like, you know, a little bit of puzzle solving, a little bit of, like, you know, you die, you go back, all those things. So.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there was that Dune game, the Dune MMO. We got a little bit more of that. It's going to be basically like, what if Paul Atreides was never born? And that's kind of like the set for the world. And I think that's a really cool idea to go with. If you're going to do a Dune MMO, like a Dune survival MMO, like just take Paul Atreides out of the equation and, you know, basically make your own Dune universe, which I think is really cool. What else did they show off here? Indiana Jones we talked about. Starfield got an update. Just overall, I was just really impressed. And then, I mean, the big thing that came out the day after was the Ubisoft presentation of Assassin's Creed Shadow and Star Wars Outlaws. And as someone who is I haven't played Assassin's Creed in a long time. Like, I played Valhalla, but I didn't finish it. Didn't play Mirage. Didn't play Origins. I really liked the look of Assassin's Creed Shadow.
And weirdly enough, they need a win, in my opinion. I think, to your point, I mean, you're such a gamer and you didn't even finish and you didn't even play one of the games. Tells me a lot. That's just how
Assassin's Creed's been around for... I really love the older ones.
Right. Those are some of the most iconic games you could find.
You have the Ezio trilogy with Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations. You have Assassin's Creed 3, takes place in the American Revolutionary War. Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I think, is probably the high watermark for Assassin's Creed as like a franchise, with the Caribbean stuff and the pirates. And then they dip their toes in like to the more expansive RPG mechanics with Odyssey and other stuff. It's just they needed something, and I get what they were doing with Odyssey, where they're like, we need to kind of change the formula up a little bit, and then people were like, maybe you changed the formula a little too much. So Shadow seems to be almost like a balance of everything that's come before it, but in the form of the two main protagonists, where you have Yasuke, who is the notorious black samurai of Japan, and he's gonna, I guess, serve for more of the melee-based kind of action-y combat, and then you have your other character, I think her name is Neo, and she's gonna be like the more traditional Assassin's Creed stealth character, and you can kind of like choose who you want to play with in any certain mission, and I think that's a really great... I was really impressed. It looked really cool. And then Star Wars Outlaws got like a 30 to 60 minute demo, a gameplay demo.
Yeah.
And...
Am I in?
I'm kind of in. I liked what I saw, and I think they needed to delineate themselves, obviously, from Jedi Survivor and give us something different, and it looks like it's going to do that.
Like I said, I'm in. I'm looking forward to it. I was very, 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 very skeptical at first. I didn't know what to expect, and that's fine. And it is, to your point, it is the Jedi game in the room. I mean, those games have been phenomenal since 2019 and 2023. So the last 5 years of our life have been dominated by, and that was at a time where everybody was so fed up with Star Wars video games, and then we get finally what everybody's been asking for, like, is it okay if we can be a Jedi? Like, is this fine? And then taking like the, quote unquote Han Solo route for something like this, like, can I be a scoundrel in the galaxy now?
Fly a ship,
like all those things. Like,
space combat looked surprisingly good.
Fun, and it looks fun.
When they threw that, and then they're like, there's space combat. I'm like, oh, how is that going to go? Like, is it going to be like kind of
arcadey? Is it going to be?
But then I remember, because it's Ubisoft, like, they did give us Black Flag, like they gave us naval combat in Assassin's Creed 4, and I think like that's like really hard to do. And I don't think a lot of games since have been able to capture like the naval combat of Assassin's Creed 4 to this day. So, I should have known that they probably could have pulled off space combat, and it looks fun. It looks very reminiscent of like Battlefront.
Right.
Which I'm really excited for. And then the story looks interesting.
Yeah, it does look interesting too. And,
they're going to have a GTA-esque policing system.
I think it's such a genius idea, and it expands the world too, and it makes it doesn't expand it in the way where it's like overwhelming. I think it expands it in the way of like, okay, this is going to be interesting now. Like, now I don't feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again too. And I think for a game like this where you need something to grab you immediately, that helps. That's just going to help.
And that's where those Assassin's Creed games really burned me out, with like the Ubisoft method of like open world, where they're like, here's a bunch of things to collect. Here's a bunch of like towers that you have to unlock your map with. Like, as long as they don't bog the game down with that, and I know there's already a really big sticking point with this game when it comes to its DLC, where like the Jabba the Hutt stuff is locked behind, I think, the pre-order bonus. Like, if you want to do like the Jabba the Hutt mission, like off rip, like that's locked behind like the deluxe edition of the game, which I don't love.
And again, to my point about the Battlefront games, the New Age Battlefront games, like, it's the one thing that has been holding you back in your everything that people are coming for you on is this. It's the pay to play. And obviously the Jedi games took that, like, we're not even thinking about anything like that. Like, that is like a remnant of a time long past.
Yeah, and it's one thing if like it was going to be like story content that was like post release and it was like part of like a season pass, like that thing is normalized now. Like I still don't totally love it, but I understand it. But like for a mission that's going to be available like at launch and for it to be locked behind a microtransaction, I'm just like, maybe you guys should just put that in the base game. And I mean, I guess they still have time to do that, but yeah, overall, this is the first time in a long time when I was like, oh man, like am I gonna be missing out, like not having an Xbox? Like it's the first time in a long time I felt that way, where I was just like, I kind of had this like air of superiority around like the PlayStation stuff. But yeah, I was super impressed, and I think that's great. I think it's great that more games are good. The industry is not doing so great right now, so I think the more better games that are out there, you know, I think it's a win for everybody. So, and then last but not least, we have some DC news. So Superman is rounding into shape. We have added Beck Bennett and Michaela Hoover to the cast now. Both of the, you know, both as in their journalistic bag. So Beck Bennett will be playing, what's the character's name?
He's playing Lombard.
Yeah, Steve Lombard.
Man of Steel as well too. Yep.
Yep. Good. Get him in there. He's a notable name with a notable voice.
Yeah. I really. And I told you before we hopped on, it was his voice. And I said, what did I tell you? I said, he might be the best casting in this whole movie in the most unironic way. And I think they're hitting with all these castings too. I think, and it's so important. And you have to, you're essentially, when you're doing this reboot thing, the game you have to play is the forget game. You have to do your best for everybody, not necessarily to forget, but be okay that everything's going on. And just little castings like that, I've really been enjoying. This movie feels very rounded out because I've been, like, I saw the Daily Planet logo, like, I can't put my finger on it about this movie, but I have a good feeling. Like, there's something that feels so organic about this movie and so, like, genuine, for lack of a better term. So I'm really looking forward to what James Gunn's got. And we know, I don't know if we were just dumb and we didn't know for a fact he's directing the movie, but now they had the clapperboard that we saw behind the scenes, and now we officially know that James Gunn's gonna do this movie, which we knew, we kind of.
Yeah, I don't know if we just missed it or if like we've guessed so long strongly that it was gonna happen that we just kind of like accepted it. But yeah, I had the same thought that you did. I was like, did we know this? But we do now. Whether or not we knew before, we know for sure now. So we're late on that. I apologize. Yeah. But we did.
I do think he's gonna probably at this. It's funny because I know he's gonna direct some episodes of Peacemaker season 2, and I'm very okay with it because that's his project, and what an incredible season 1 that he turned out from a character like that we were not expecting.
Right.
I know he's gonna have a lot going on. Like, I know he's gonna have a infinite amount on his plate. So
for sure.
Again, I wonder if he's gonna I think he'll probably keep all the Superman movies. I don't think he'll do whatever the Justice League movie will be eventually. I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll get somebody, or maybe like a team, a team of 2. Because over the last couple of years, the team directors have been growing and growing. Like, obviously the ones that we know are like the Wachowskis, the Coen brothers are used, like those were like the 2 big ones that would be like and then the Russo brothers, like the collaboration efforts, but. You know, now it feels like we're getting more and more, which is pretty cool. So, like, you have the Daniels that are working on Star Wars. They're working on... What are they working on? They're working on Andor... No, they're working on the show with Jude Law. So, you know, which I guess...
I think they're also directing an episode of something.
Yeah, what are they... they're doing that Star Wars show with Jude Law. I know they have something in there. Kogonada from Cinema, from After Yang and from Columbus.
Lord Miller.
Favorite. Yeah, he directed yesterday's episode of The Acolyte. And the title crawl rolled, and I was like, wait, is that Kogonada that just directed this episode? So, but to my point about, like, I think he's probably going to get somebody, like a team maybe, because it's a big ask to do a solo movie with so many characters too. But I'm still... full steam ahead on in James Gunn we trust. Especially after Guardians, I don't have any reason not to.
And then Michaela Hoover's playing Cat Grant. I didn't say that earlier, but
who was in the Suicide Squad?
Yes.
Yeah, as secretary.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even catch that. But yeah, she's gonna be Cat Grant. Most recently played by Callista Flockhart in Supergirl, and she was great.
You guys look like the culturally diverse cast of a CW show.
She was incredible. I really, really enjoyed that character. But yeah, I totally am with you on the Superman stuff. I think is incredibly promising, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it gets received. I mean, people are gonna be mad at it.
I mean, just telling from the first photo, I know people are gonna be very, very, very mad at this movie, but I don't know how you watch Guardians 3, or any of the Guardians movies, and you're questioning if he can pull that out of Superman, but he can pull that out of Rocket Raccoon and Groot. And, I just think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree. And, people just need to get over the fact that it's over. Like, the Zack Snyder thing is over.
And people are mad that he's bringing his own team. Even though every director brings their own team when they do. I don't know why James Gunn is the mutually exclusive one to be.
Rebel Moon's getting a director's cut, by the way. I don't know if you saw that news.
For both movies.
I know.
For both halves.
Yeah. I told you this was gonna happen. It's his gimmick now. He's leaned into the gimmick at this point, and
but it was on a streaming service. You could have just I'm gonna do my full movie, and they were gonna we don't care. Like we didn't ask. You can do whatever you want.
He's leaned into the bit. He committed to the bit.
And Netflix was naive enough to also fall for it too.
Yeah, I know. I'm over it, man. I'm over it.
Yeah, I watched I don't think I even finished the first part of this is a tougher watch, and I'm a very I'm not above turning, and I'm the cinema guy in here. Like I'm the resident cinema guy, and like I can too turn my brain off and just entertain it. That was a tough one to entertain. That was a little tougher.
Yeah, man. I don't know what he's up. I don't know what he's up to. I think he's like. It feels like he's worked.
I don't even blame him anymore, though. I don't blame him.
No,
it's not him. It's everybody else entertaining this and being fine with whatever happens.
He's quickly devolving into Shyamalan territory of being here's another Zack Snyder thing.
Could he make the new Shyamalan movie that's coming out?
No.
It's the daughter, right? The daughter's the psycho killer, and he's protecting her. I'm ready. What was my thing? What if it's the pop star? She's the psycho killer.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever twist is coming.
We already got a meme from that movie, and it's not even out for months.
All right, let's talk about Mad Max and Furiosa. So, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, has released. It is a prequel and a spin-off of Mad Max Fury Road, which came out 10 years ago. This movie was in development hell for a while, and it kind of, it kind of shows, not in a bad way, but you kind of know that this was supposed to come out a little bit closer to Mad Max Fury Road than it did. First of all, Charlize Theron aged herself out of the role, so she was originally going to come back as Furiosa for this movie. But they got Anya Taylor-Joy to step in, which I think is as good a substitute as you can get.
I have some incredible thoughts on that, because she was phenomenal in 20 minutes of screen time in a 2.5-hour movie.
Yeah, she was not in this as much as I thought she was going to be.
But it works.
They stayed with the younger Furiosa a lot longer than I thought they were going to.
I think it works.
I think it works too. I was just surprised.
I was saved to talk about it because I think it's such a smart thing that they do.
Yeah, I think I was just surprised that they did this. But George Miller obviously returning. He was in a spat with Warner Brothers for a while, which also postponed this movie for quite a while. This was the most Mad Max has ever dipped into the lore of the world. Much of the other movies, you watch them and you're like, are these related? Are these connected?
I think it's more of a fact of,
you're Mel Gibson's still there, right? They got to be connected.
Right. I think it's more of a fact of, when you think about it, though, all the other Mad Max movies, including Fury Road, we're here. We're already here. This is the first one where it's just we're here because of this. We're here,
which makes sense because it's a prequel, and it's directly related to another one of these. So it makes sense that all your major players are are back. We're just gonna keep going. We're just keep going past that. Who's back in this?
The video podcast is coming soon, because that could have been an all-time moment for me.
Morton Joe is back.
Mm-hmm.
The People Eater is back.
Mm-hmm.
Furiosa's back.
Furiosa's back. You're Furiosa from the Mad Max Fury Road.
Spoiler alert, Mad Max is in this for 2 seconds.
But it's not Mad Max.
Oh, but there's that guy, but then there's also actual Mad Max.
But it's not Tom Hardy.
No.
It's his stunt double.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers.
And he's like,
You're not Tom Hardy.
Furiosa.
You're not doing a funny voice.
So he wanted George. You're not doing a funny voice. What's he doing in that biker movie?
I'm all in. I'm in.
So George Miller originally wanted to shoot these back to back.
Yeah. Yep.
But during pre-production, he was like, actually, we're only going to do Fury Road. They wanted to originally do this as an anime, which would have been awesome, actually.
This movie definitely has some grandiose moments to lend credence to that, though, I will say.
Then in 2017, that's the spat that George Miller had with Warner Brothers, where he sued them over a salary dispute for Fury Road, which delayed the production of this movie and any other Mad Max movie that was ever going to come out. Then in 2019, Miller said Furiosa is still happening, in addition to 2 Mad Max sequels. Then they finally settled in 2020, and then the pandemic happened. So it put this movie again further back into development. And like I said, I mean, we can talk about the box office real quick because it hasn't been great.
No,
and I think
unfortunate, man.
Yeah, and I think it's a byproduct of 2 things. So first and foremost, like Fury Road did okay at the box office. Like it wasn't like a big giant smash hit or anything like that. It obviously won, stupid amount of Academy Awards. Like it was very well critically received. It just didn't perform well. And then, you have this movie coming out 10 years later and people just, Mad Max isn't like Batman. like it's not like, hey, the new Mad Max movie is out. Like I gotta go see it. Right. Like it's a very niche thing. And this movie just is getting killed at the box office, unfortunately. But, I mean, the one thing in its favor is that the country and continent of Australia footed a lot of this bill because they're like, yes, please set your movie and shoot your movie here.
Yeah, they actually shot it in modern day Australia.
Yeah.
Post-apocalypse. That's just, if you go to Australia right now, that's exactly what it's like.
So it doesn't need a ton of money to break even, but it still probably won't do it, which is a shame because, as we're going to talk about, this movie was really, really good.
I actually very much enjoyed this movie. I went the Tuesday after the weekend where it came out, and my theater was pretty decent. It wasn't too bad.
My theater was me.
Yeah, it was just you. And it shows the week over week return.
Yeah.
To that box office point.
It's by myself.
But, some great beats about this movie, just to start. This movie, especially the second half of this movie, is frenetic. It is, this movie, I said it to you when I texted you that I saw the movie and I was like kind of glowing about it. One of the best pieces about this movie is the soundscape in this movie. You talk about like the ideology of immersion and what goes into it. The idea of like what a movie is, I'm a big proponent in the film philosophy that sound is half your battle, and it's from the opening frame in this movie, the soundscape it takes you, it's like putting you in a car on the Fury Road. I think this movie does a very great job at that, and it kind of like, the score is big, it's booming, it's really well done, but it's not something where it's not annoying. It's not something where I'm like, oh god. Like,
Tom Hulkenberg came back. He did Fury Road, and he came back for this. Yeah,
arguably, I like this score even better. I think it fits this movie a little bit better, and it fits the ascension of Furiosa too. And it's like, and it fits the world that you're trying to build too. So that's great. The soundscape, just the sound mix in this movie is really well done too. It's just it's loud, but it's not overwhelming. But it's overwhelming when it needs to, if that makes sense. Like it's like the points where it needs to really hit you, it hits you. Obviously, Anya Taylor-Joy is just phenomenal in anything she does. She's so graceful, but she has such this rugged nature behind her too, which I think is perfect if you're gonna be a character like Furiosa. And I think everybody's great in this movie. I mean, Chris Hemsworth, this is maybe one of my favorite roles he's ever done in his entire life.
Speaking of loud,
King Yap, he is yapping the whole movie.
The symbolism behind Dementus is not exactly subtle.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked it a lot how they use his physical appearance as a symbol of his descent into absolute lunacy, where like he starts the movie and he's very deified, like he's very deity like.
Yeah, and
in the beginning of the movie,
you know what? It's cool. Why it's cool? it's very interesting in the fact that
he's like Desert Jesus.
Yeah, he's already established, because something like this, especially after Immortan Joe, who isn't also in this movie, which they share an absolutely awesome scene. It was one of my favorite scenes from the movie.
Yeah.
What you need to do somewhere with something like this is credibility is known. We know you have to make your villain a credible threat, but also, you know where he lies? He lies on this weird teeter line where, like, I had myself falsely asking the question in my head, like, is he he's not the worst person here. Like, in a landscape of horrible people, I'm like, this is a pretty decent gig that this guy's offering, right?
Yeah, but
in the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
And then to your point, that's his descent into absolute lunacy. Like, he's a guy that thinks he can talk himself out of and he does talk himself out of every situation he's in.
And I just, like I said, I love the physical symbolism of, he starts the movie and he's like, he looks like Chris Hemsworth. Like, he's got the, blonde beard, all white getup, and then circumstances, he ends up with a more red getup, and he keeps the red getup for a while, and that kind of like starts his descent. And then the next time you see him, the red has turned to black. Mm-hmm. His hair is gray and black because time passes. Mm-hmm. And then by the time you see him in that state, he's gone. Mm-hmm. Like, he's a desert warmonger. Mm-hmm. Just a grubby, not caring about anybody or anything. Just loves killing, and that's it. Like I mentioned up top, we spend a lot of time with young Furiosa. Yeah. Child Furiosa, played by, let me get this actress's name, Aaliyah Brown plays her.
Yeah, she's great. I think she's pretty solid.
And it's her first kind of major acting role, and she's going to be in Sonic 3 later this year as Dr. Robotnik's daughter.
Nice.
Yeah. So she was great. What I really loved about both her performance and Anya Taylor-Joy's, a lot was made of the what was it, 44 lines of dialogue that Furiosa gets in this movie, and George Miller was like, dialogue's overrated. And
he pulled the Denis from Dune. He said, "Can everybody shut up?"
So yeah, I mean, she I don't think she talks at all.
Who?
The young Furiosa.
She
barely.
A couple times. She just yelled, just a couple yells at like.
Couple yeses, couple no's.
Talks to her mom a couple times, but you know what it does too? It also drives the aura, and it drives the personification of what Furiosa is, and and it's a great coupling with Charlize Theron, because Charlize Theron demands it, and then Anya Taylor-Joy like garners it, like, come here, and then like I said, Charlize Theron's like, okay, you're here now. You have no choice but to listen to me at this point.
Speaking of her mother,
man, this is the opening of the movie.
Charlie Fraser plays her mother, who, and I was just like, whoa, man. I was like, make the movie about this character. Actually,
she's the coolest person in this whole. She's cooler than Mad Max.
She is cooler than Mad Max. I was like, wait, what's going on here? Like, talk about, like, remember that? What was that movie with Jada Pinkett Smith, where like the daughter gets kidnapped and she goes on like a Taken revenge mission? Mm-hmm. We got that for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Next universe, and she's the coolest person ever. That's what we got.
Oh man, like, she is relentless. Mm-hmm. I texted you while I was watching the movie, and I was like, I love Mad Max universe because every character has like a modicum of superhuman in them.
Yep.
Like, people can take like an absurd amount of abuse in these movies, and like no one back. Like, people get lit on. She gets lit on fire at one point. Like, she's just on fire. Like, a gas can gets blown up like immediately, like right behind her, and she's like on fire, driving the bike like nothing's wrong.
The clothes off. She's like, all right.
She's got like 1st degree burns, and she's like, we're going in there. Mm-hmm. She tells Furiosa, whatever you do, don't follow me. Go back home. Mm-hmm. Furiosa immediately follows her.
Yep.
Gets kidnapped by Dementis.
Borderline crucified.
She does, yeah.
And that's where you know Dementis is like, look, I'm a sucker for a revenge movie, man, and this is what this movie is. This movie is a
classic revenge movie.
Strip this movie down. This is just a very classic, not run of the mill, but very classic revenge story, and that's it.
Yeah, and we're gonna, I guess we'll not revisit, but we'll talk about the ending where Dementis basically lays that out, where he's like, you can't have this. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't have that both ways. Like, you can't have this both. Like, you're not any more justifiable than I am. Like, we both suck. Like, we're both children of darkness, essentially, is what he tells her at the end of the movie, and he's right. Like, you know, Furiosa is a lunatic. Especially, man, we'll talk about the scene with her arm and everything. Like, just, man. But yeah, man, should we talk about Mad Max a little bit?
We can. Which one?
The stand-in, the fake Mad Max.
Yeah, let's talk about it for the amount of time he's in the movie.
Yeah. So we get, you know, midway through this movie, Furiosa gets her call to action, right? She's working her way up the Citadel as a boy. A small boy. And everyone's like, this small boy's got spunk. And she works her way up through the system, and she befriends Praetorian Jack, the war rig driver who is very clearly supposed to be Mad Max. Right. Because I'm sure Warner Brothers was like, wait, are you making a Mad Max movie? And George Miller was like, yeah. And he's like, is Mad Max in this? And George Miller was like, nah. And Warner Brothers is like, get us a Mad Max. So they call up Tom Burke, and they're like, you're going to be Mad Max in this.
But you can't say you're Mad Max.
But you're not Mad Max.
So they got like a whiteboard, and then or they got a dartboard, and they put like random names on there, and they had a prefix name, and then they had like an actual name, and then they just started throwing it until they landed on Praetorian Jack.
Yeah, so he's Mad Max in this. He teaches Furiosa everything she knows. Here's a gun,
the
Furiosa.
Most important thing he teaches her? Love.
Yeah.
God forbid they couldn't just let Charlize Theron or Anya Taylor-Joy just be Furiosa.
Yeah, we didn't need the weird love side plot to the point where Dementus is even like, no.
Yeah, are they in love?
I love Dementus' accent. I love how like aggressively like deity he is in the beginning. He's like, this is I'm wise. I'm this kid.
Give her some food and water, and then he's like, ladies and gentlemen,
oi. I'm Australian.
Yeah, I'll blow up the roller rig if you want.
I'm like,
but I don't think you want it.
What happened to this guy? I love Chris Hemsworth in this movie. He's
really good. He's so good.
He's missed his calling as a maniac in movies.
Right.
Just let him be a maniac Australian and everything.
Yeah.
I think I'll be happy.
He's got a great 40s, 50s ahead of him if he keeps going.
Yeah. So yeah, we get Mad Max in this. He teaches Furiosa, like, you're going to become Furiosa.
Yeah.
But I can't be Mad Max because you have to meet Mad Max in the next movie.
And he's Tom Hardy.
Yeah, and he's Tom Hardy. And spoiler alert, so Furious is walking back from her really horrific experience at what is that place? The gun farm.
The gun farm.
And
I love the names of all the bases because,
Gastown.
This movie
it's very Fallout.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very Fallout with the names of these places: the Citadel, Gastown, the Bullet Farm. Yeah, so Mad Max, discount Mad Max dies. He gets it's a pretty horrific death scene.
Did he die?
Oh yeah.
You sure?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he died.
I'm not too sure.
I'm pretty sure. He was dragged for hours and eaten by dogs.
I still think he's alive.
I think he's dead as a doornail.
Well, I'm assuming just the way of how important he was to this. I'm assuming one of those two movies that I don't know. We're gonna. Talk
is he important, or is he just a Mad Max insert character?
He was cool.
He was cool.
Cool.
But I just don't think he was ever. I don't think he was ever supposed to be there. Until they were just like, you need to put Mad Max in this.
I still have a sneaking suspicion that one of the two movies that George Miller wants to make is about him.
But I really liked. I mean,
Victorian Jack, a Mad Max saga.
Assuming he did die, I really liked how he died, if that makes sense, and like horrific, but like it was kind of off screen and happening in the background. Like it's just this close up of Dementus just being like just being angry and just being like at the end of his wits. But meanwhile, like Praetorian Jack's carcass is being dragged in circles and circles and circles, and he's like, and then Dementus is finally like, I've had enough. Oi, I've had enough. I had enough of this. And he goes back, and you just see Furiosa's arm hanging, and you're like, holy moly.
Cut her arm off?
She is a maniac.
I don't know if you're as mad as I am. Not like mad, but like mad in the mind.
Mad Max?
See? You know why that works and Captain Marvel Fury's Eye doesn't work? Because, like, we know the thing that's going to happen to the character is going to get explained.
Yeah.
But, like, one was for, like, a gag of, like, I would have rather, like, hers in a movie like this, like, I'm cool if they do something as stupid as that. And, like, she lost her arm and, like, she accidentally, like, was working on a car and, like, some stupid, like, one of, like, the Immortan Joe disciples, like, tricks the rig on accident and just drops. He's like, oh, no.
Not on my arm.
Yeah, but, like, she does it in the coolest way possible of, like, I'm going to murder you, but let me cut my arm off. So
and there's also, like, a story bit because that's the arm that she wrote the star chart on.
Right, yep.
Like to chart her way back to the green place.
And it's so sad because she can never find her way back there.
But not that she wants to.
Yeah.
So yeah, she walks back through the desert and then she's like about to pass out and then there's a big pan out shot of the V8 Interceptor and a guy in a jacket being like, I'm Mad Max. It's implied that he saves her.
I guess.
Like he takes her back to the Citadel and then he's like, I'm Mad Max.
Mm-hmm. I'm out. Y'all take it easy. I'm out.
I also do like think about Mad Max that like obviously like this is within the same continuity as the Mel Gibson movies. Like he should be a bigger deal, but like no one ever talks about him.
No, and again to your point to add on to Tom Hardy, like Tom Hardy very much just does show up in Fury Road.
Yeah.
He's just there.
He's Mad Max by the time Fury Road comes around is like this kind of like not a Deus Ex Machina.
I'm not gonna lie. Nicholas Holt's the main character of Mad Max Fury Road and you can't prove me wrong.
But like Mad Max is almost like this he's not quite a Deus Ex Machina because like in Fury Road he's not like he's not the driving force behind what undoes the villain, but like he does just sort of show up as this kind of like mysterious stranger and you're like, oh, it's Mad Max. He's gonna do Mad Max.
He's cooler as like a sage, like a wise old sage character than the actual main character. I'm telling you, Nicholas Holt's the main character. Like look, listen, just hear me out for a second. One of the Immortan Joe disciples, right? You know, he's at his last ends. He needs a blood bag. That's just so happens to be Mad Max. Like, and again, like, he has the cooler line in the movie. What a lovely day on the Fury Road. Like, you know, this is his last stitch ever. Like, give me the wheel. Like, I'm gonna like, that's a main character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I just like Mad Max's mythos in this universe.
He's just a guy.
He feels like he should be a bigger deal.
Yeah, but
like,
he's not.
But no one ever talks about him. Like, Immortan Joe isn't like inherently like worried about Mad Max being out there.
Right. Right.
it's kind of funny. But yeah, and then Furiosa gets back to the Citadel and she's like, Dementus is a maniac, and he's taken over Bullet Farm and Gastown, and what's his name? The people eater is like, no, not on my watch, impossible.
Yeah, and it was on your watch.
And then freaking his two sons, the one son is like, let's go to Gastown and murder him. And
the other son's like, I'm a pedophile.
And the Immortan Joe's like, no, listen to me, I'm Immortan Joe.
Yeah.
Not Cotton Eye Joe. Immortan Joe. Oh, imagine if there was a Cotton Eye Joe, though. There should be. And he's like, nah, we're going to lure out. I love this end bit because, like, again, it's like the Shogun thing of, like, you think there's going to be a big battle, and it's just not. It's just Dementus' crew getting just obliterated while his historian telling us this at the end.
Yeah, yep.
Like the whole story about like there's been all sorts of wars throughout history. War of the Roses, World War I, World War II, the Gulf War, the battle.
Oh, he's just what's his name from Fallout.
Yeah, the Civil War. War never changes. He doesn't say that part, but
that's copyright infringement. You can't do that.
And then he's like, and then there was the 40-day war in the Australian desert.
I did like that bit, that montage bit. I thought that was really clever. I did enjoy that.
And Dementus' crew is just obliterated. And Furiosa's like, tell you what, Immortan Joe, you can go down there and win this war, but Dementus is mine.
Immortan Joe's like, I don't care.
He's like, yeah. He's like, whatever.
All right.
He really, he only ever wanted her to be a bride, right? Like a bride.
Yeah. Well, that was the original plan.
Yeah. And I do like.
Well, Immortan Joe didn't. Well, nobody knew who she was after.
Yeah.
I thought. Even after they found out she was a woman, they still didn't know who she was.
A woman?
A woman.
That was the look that fake Mad Max gave her when she took her helmet off and she had the long hair. He was like, huh.
Now, am I in love?
Like,
they should have played the music.
But I do like Immortan Joe. I did like that, going back to like the scene with Immortan Joe and Dementus, where Dementus is like, all right.
I think that's one of like the best scenes in this movie. I enjoyed that scene because it's like it's the guy that I already know. I already know Immortan Joe. You're a pretty good villain.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
Yeah.
What are you doing in that Citadel, Immortan Joe? Why is his name Immortan Joe? It's so silly.
I don't know. Nothing makes sense in this movie, but I'm here because it's cool.
Dementis is... I love that scene.
This is where Dementis truthfully starts losing his mind. Dementis walks in. He has the trigger... No, he has... I forget what guy. He has chained to his nipples.
Yeah.
Because this is the Mad Max universe.
Yeah.
So, rips his nipples off. Why not?
Not even phased.
Because
everyone in this movie is a superhuman. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right.
Well, he has Gastown. He's like, I have a bomb in Gastown. And everyone's like, he wouldn't blow up Gastown. Like, for sure, that's insane. And then he rips his nipples off. Everybody's like, all right, this guy might mean business.
So he's like, I want Gastown. I want a cut of this.
Yeah,
weird triumvirate.
I want mother's milk. Not from the boys. I want mother's milk. I want Gastown. I just want to like
whatever this weird triumvirate.
Like a shift manager. That's all he wants. He just wants like upper management.
Yeah, and Morton Joe's like, sure, but give me the doctor. Give me your doctor person, because he's going to be in Fury Road.
And give me your daughter.
She is your daughter, right? And Dementis is like,
yeah. Look,
mate.
Yeah. greatest Sally I ever seen. I love her.
Mate. She's so much my daughter, it's crazy.
Are you his daughter? She's like, no.
No. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, I lied. My bad, guys.
And then Dementis is like, well, give me my bear back then. Yeah. And then she, like I said, she grows up there. She escapes being assaulted by the other son. Then she just hangs out there for 15 years.
Yeah, she's good at what she does. She quickly moves up the ranks. Mm-hmm. She's hiding there. Why are you peeing back there? Don't worry about it. Is this She's the Man?
Is this Mulan? And then so 15 years have passed, and they're like, dude, Dementis, he ruined Gastown.
Yeah, everybody's like, is Dementis, like, he's not doing anything over there.
No,
Dementis' whole thing is he's for the people. I will give you what you want, and I still have my loudspeaker, so I'm good.
Yeah, where have we ever seen that happen in real life?
Right. He's like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, guys, if you really want to like make some change, let's go to the Citadel and really make some change. Everyone's like, no.
Guess what? It's not awesome.
Yeah.
So they send the rig out with fake Mad Max and Furiosa.
The Bomby Knocker.
Yeah.
We got something new.
This is great. And I love this bit.
This is where
the rig raid.
This is where you're sitting back in your seat, and then you sit up in your seat, and you're like, "Oh, this movie's got some."
It just kept going,
unrelenting.
Every time I thought, like, "Wow, we're wrapping this up," a guy on a parasail came in, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And then they dealt with the guys in the parasails, and then guy with a bigger parasail attached to a motorcycle showed up. It felt like a video game.
Yeah.
Where I was like, all right, you deal with like the regular guys, and then like slightly upgraded guys come in, and then the big major guy comes in. And that's what happened here.
The whole sequence is unrelenting. Basically, Furiosa's kind of hidden, so because she overhears, oh, we're gonna go see Dementis. She's like, oh, I want to murder that guy.
I hate Dementis.
Yeah, I hate him. I'm gonna. That's what the movie's about. I'm gonna go actually. And then she gets seen by the second in command, and he's just like, you're already here. Can you just repair this line? Because I'm about to be murdered myself. In a moment.
Mechanic guy
that
she developed like a one-line friendship with, like before the mission.
Yeah, yep.
And he was like, they kind of give each other a look like, okay.
You might be are you the main character? Yeah, it doesn't matter. We got a big day tomorrow.
I thought I was the main character.
No, you're more Joe is. You're the secondary. You're good at best supporting actor, but you're not him.
Yeah, he gets rolled up under the truck trying to fix it.
Heaps of people are murdered in this scene.
Oh my god, it's brutal.
All the disciples get murdered. All the
war boys.
The war boys. The raiders get murdered.
The raiders who are no longer working for Dementis?
No, those were just guys. Those were just like...
Well, those were the guys...
Those are the bike riders from the Bike Riders.
Yeah, those are the guys that Dementis kind of throws under the bus for the original... When Dementis raided Gastown, he was like, we're going to stage a raid. And then they're like, they're not falling for it. And Dementis is like, well, now we have to actually kill them to make it look real. Yeah. To be fair, good plan.
Good plan. Not bad. Not bad. And then that's when one of Dementis' second in command was just like, how dare you? I was like, buddy, what universe are you in? Where'd your spy
How else
go?
are you getting into Gastown?
Where'd your spy? He said, I won't work for you now. You've lost it, Dementis. I'm like, yeah,
his name's Dementis.
What did you think was going to happen? God.
We gave it away.
Yeah, it's like when people are like, when the Decepticons try to play nice, I'm like...
Well, that was John Cena's character in Bumblebee.
He's like, Their name's the Decepticons, guys. I think they might be the villains.
So yeah, this war rig raid is just like you said, it's relentless.
Awesome.
It just keeps going.
It's unrelenting.
Guys with they got exploding spears. There's a tiny person in a rig.
And he operates the bomby knocker.
Yeah. He's like, is it time?
Yeah. No. Hold it, Thor.
If I was driving that thing, I'd that's my opening move.
No, you can't, because then they're gonna know about it and try to destroy it.
Yeah, but how are they stopping it? Once that thing gets...
Yeah, once that thing gets going. It's basically 4 spikes.
It's 4 flails tied together.
Yeah, that just spin at like lightning speed, and if you even come close, it's basically getting sucked into like a jet engine. Like,
yeah.
You're cooked.
So like I'm opening up with... Once I see the guys on the parasails,
I'm
like...
personally putting it in the front and the back, because that thing is elite.
Once I see the guys on the parasails, I'm like, that's it, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Because my guys with the exploding spears just aren't hitting anything.
Yeah, the war boys are like, they're not great shooters. Like, they're alright.
And they're exploding spears. You don't even have to get that close.
But everybody has +10 in this universe, so like you can like, it's like a video game. These are video game characters.
They are. Everyone's got flamethrowers. Everyone's got a flamethrower.
Yep.
And then yeah, so we finally get to Furiosa. The first mechanic dies, and Furiosa's like, I'm the mechanic now. And then she gets in there, and Discount Mad Max is like,
I love you? Question mark?
Oh shoot.
A woman? I love you.
She shoots a couple guys, he shoots a couple guys, and then he's like, you're alright.
Yeah.
I'm gonna teach you the ways of Mad Max.
Oh my bad. I'm gonna teach you the ways. He actually like kind of says that line. I'm gonna teach you the ways of the Fury Road.
I'm not Mad Max, but I'm the Mad Max stand-in, Furiosa, so prepare to be wooed by me. They get to Gastown, and it's just it's a hive of scum and villainy.
Dementus is still... I love Dementus' vehicle. Like, the chariot.
Oh, the bike chariot?
Yeah, the bike chariot.
And then he gets the monster truck.
Yeah. He's like, everybody settle down. Everything's great. Nothing's bad.
People are getting shot, killed.
And he's like, you guys better get out of here. Or else. And then Amor and Joe, they get back, and Amor and Joe's like, where's my gas that you went to Gastown for? He's like, Dementus is just... He's lost, and he's just... Ugh.
And he took over the bullet farm.
No, not the bullet farm. That's where we get our bullets from.
And the bullet farmer is there.
Yeah.
In his bullet samurai armor.
Kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Kind of cool.
His samurai armor made out of bullets.
That's the best part, especially about Furiosa, because I think Furiosa dials it up a little bit. I think Mad Max Fury Road has a little bit more of a finish on it, like a little bit more of like a serious finish. But like Furiosa doesn't care a lot of the times, which I think works a little better. It's objectively absurd. It's like this universe is absurd.
And then we get to the point where like, all right, Furiosa, you got to become Furiosa now, which circles us back to like they go on another run. He's like, you got to go to the bullet farm and do some things.
Well, they're trying to gear up because they want to just take Dementus out for good.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, we're gonna create a diversion. You guys are gonna go to Bullet Farm, get every single last bullet from that bullet farm. That's 1.3 trillion bullets. I want all of them. Put them in the rig.
And Discount Mad Max is like, Furiosa, I know you've been riding shotgun with me, but you got to drive in the car with the war boys. And he drives in there, and it's like, huh, there's no one in the bullet farm. And then surprise attack!
It's Dementus.
Everyone's in the bullet farm.
Again, this movie, once the first war rigs, the movie does not let up from there. Like, it just refuses to let up.
So this is where I like this movie, like, not better than Fury Road, but I liked that we got like a bit of like a gun bit. Whereas like Fury Road was more like the war rig scene was really good, but it was also like a discount version of the raid in Fury Road. Like it was like the samey thing. But Fury Road didn't really have the big gunfight. And then this did. So this movie had the... Come on, man.
Oh, it's Mad Max.
Mad Max is out there. So we get a gun...
He's pulling up to talk about us besmirching. He's like, I was a big deal in these movies.
We get a gunfight in this. Discount Mad Max.
It's the War Boys. Oh no.
Discount Mad Max is shooting his ass off in there. He's killing heaps of people. Furiosa's got her special shotgun that Mad Max made for her. He's like, look, I got you the special shotgun.
I also love you.
So that when you leave us... Also, why would you want her to leave you?
Yeah, she's
easily your most capable
the best person. And also will be your wife too. Like, this is the best deal you've ever signed.
Anya Taylor-Joy just fell into your life,
right?
sir.
Like, what are we talking about? Fox can say the same thing for the X-Men. I digress. Anyway,
yeah. So the gunfight. There's a lot of near misses. Furiosa channels her mother's inner sniper and just starts...
Oh, yeah, she's Chris Kyle. It's awesome.
Just starts obliterating people. Dementus is like, what is happening?
Just like, give me the rocket launcher. That's the coolest thing we have, and I don't have it. Give it.
I did like how he got it too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of neat little action bits in this. He fires the rocket launcher, he buries Furiosa, which would have killed any other person, but because this is the Mad Max universe, she just gets up like
Everybody
the
gets a
Undertaker.
video game
She gets up like the Undertaker. She's like, all right. Ow.
Oh, she just does the like
Yeah.
wipe off the shoulder.
Like she got hit like point blank with a rocket launcher, and she's just fine. It's amazing. So her and Praetorian Jack escape, and then Dementus is like, after them, let's go. I'm in my monster truck. Dementus's crew is really scary.
Because, again, that's why the sound mix in this movie, because when you hear those motorcycles revving, you're like, uh-oh.
And they catch up to people quick.
Yeah, I don't know what they put in the bikes. Like, that fuel in those bikes are moving.
Because he goes up over the mountain in the monster truck, and that's how he catches up to them. And then he traps her arm in the
it's
wheel.
like, there's no brakes. Like, this movie has no brakes.
No.
Like, it gives you like a second to refuel, and then you're back at
He
it.
traps her arm in the wheel, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, yep.
yikes. And then we get to the bit where we talked about where he tortures Praetorian Jack. I think he's dead. You seem to think he's alive.
he's alive.
You think he survived that somehow.
I think he's alive.
And then Furiosa escapes. She's rescued by actual Mad Max, presumably. Then we get the war, and then we get to the final bit. They're cleaning up Dementus's crew. The guy from Fury Road with the electric guitar is there. He makes an appearance.
This movie's all about its cameos.
Electric guitar Jimmy, as I like to call him. Like that's the weird electric guitar guy from Fury Road.
You got paid for this? He's like, yeah, it's a pretty good gig.
Where'd he get the guitar?
Who knows?
So she shows up in her beat up car, and they're like, "Thank God you're here with that beat up car because we need to put a wheel on this car."
Wheel?
Dementus escaped, and Furiosa's like, "Good." The scene where she does the superhero suit up.
Yeah, yep.
She gets her arm.
Is it a suit down? Because now she only has a tank top and half an arm. Is that like a?
I mean, the arm's pretty cool though.
The arm is cool.
The arm comes with a motor.
Yeah, it does. I was like, is this the coolest movie of this year?
She drives into the desert. Dementus is down to like him and like 4 other people.
Yeah,
he's like,
split up.
He's like, no time for goodbyes. He's like, we know each other really well, so goodbye. He literally says like, bye guys. She kills 3 of them, and then one of the other ones is attacked. She sees him through his sniper scope, and she thinks it might be Dementus, and it's not. And she's relieved because that guy gets accosted, and she's like, "Oh, I wanted to kill Dementus. I hope that's not Dementus down there." And it's not. It's some other guy who gets just violently.
He's like the religious zealot that's always with Dementus throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. He gets sucked into quicksand. Another guy gets jumped by the war boys. There's about like 30 of them just kind of dogpile on him. And then she comes to she gets Dementus. And she plays little mind games with him. Like she's driving up real slow in the car. And then he comes towards her and she backs up. And he throws the gun at her. And he's like, whatever. Just kill me already, will you?
It's like, no, that's too easy.
And
then the acting happens. Then the actual acting happens.
Yeah. I like this end bit.
Because again, you could end with the absolute bang, but that's too easy. That's too easy for a movie
I want
like
them
this.
back.
Can't have them back because you know why? Little Red, little D, you're just like me.
I think I do also enjoy that, like, he didn't actually care about her, but, like, it goes to show how much he didn't care about her, that, like, it's this pivotal, it's the Thanos thing, like, it's like, you took everything from me, I don't even know who you are, like, there's bits of that in this, where he's like, all right, like, you're some, like, woman that, like, I obviously did something to, like, which was it?
Who would I kill? Mom, sister, dad? Who would I kill? Oh, mom, my bad on that.
Yeah, like, whatever. Like, I do this all the time. I've done this all the time for, like, 30 years at this point.
Is that you, little D?
Well, she takes the bear.
Yeah.
Like, she takes the bear off his belt, and that's when he puts 2 and 2 together, and he's like, I always knew you'd come. I always knew you'd come for me.
I'm actually proud of you. I can't even be mad at you now.
And the line I love that he gives her is, "You crawled out of a pitiless grave deeper than hell," he says to her, like, only one thing only one thing is strong enough to motivate you for that, and it's not hope, it's not love, it's hate. like you hate me. And he's like, I got no choice but to respect that. And she, you know, she's like, she's like, that's not what this is.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
You're exactly like me. Like,
yeah, like, you know, we can only get so much of just normal life. All this love, hope.
He's like, I was like you once.
Yeah, he's like and guess what happened in this world? It got ripped away from me. It got taken away. I had things. I had people.
And whether or not he's telling the truth is irrelevant, to be honest, because, you know, it doesn't even matter if he's telling the truth about that. Like, the truth is, like, that's what happens to people in this universe. Like, they become monsters. And that's, you know, he's, like, teaching her how to execute him. It's like, you got to turn me around. Like, because if you want me to really be afraid, like, you don't want me to know when you're going to shoot me. And she's like, I'll know when I shoot you. Like, you know, and the bullet will go through your brain and like every bit of reservation you've ever had is going to vanish with you. And he's like, cool.
Yeah. All right.
Like, go ahead. Like,
he like reaches for like the knife to try to, he's like, that wasn't even because I like wanted to, that was just primal. That was just instinct. My bad.
Yeah. Like, like he knew he was beaten, but like at the same time, he's like, this is how it ends for like all of us, like inevitably, like whatever. And then I really like this bit at the end where we get the historian voiceover, and he's like, it's unclear what happened to Dementus that day. Like, some people believe she shot him there in the desert. Some people believe she subjected him to like
the same fate that
Jack and his mother or her mother succumbed to. He's like, but only I know the real truth because Furiosa told me the story. So this whole time she's carried with her a seed that her mother gave her that will plant a peach tree. She wanted Furiosa to go back to the green place and plant it, you know, because the green place. Keep it going. Furiosa, what we find out is, gives Dementus a fate truly worse than death. The historian tells us that she took Dementus's body, put him in the deepest recesses of the Citadel, put the tree in him and pinned him there, and he became a human fertilizer for the peach tree.
And the only reason he's still alive because there's a little drip of water that just keeps him alive.
She is demented.
Yeah,
she's Dementus now.
She is.
And then before the movie ends, they go, "Oh wait, we have to Fury Road. We have to do the Fury Road." So we get to the part where she springs free the broads in the war rig and sets up Fury Road. Was that Charlize Theron at the end?
No. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Sure looked like her.
Well, I know they did some CGI with the young actress, like when she was getting a little older, but she wasn't Anya Taylor-Joy age yet. I know they started to mix their faces a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe that's what happened there at the end, but that's it. That was the movie, and like I said, I really dug it. I thought the action was tight. Like you said, like that war rig raid happens, and then the gun farm battle happens, and then there's another war rig kind of escape.
It's on. It's just on.
Yeah, it's really great. And you know, like we said, Anya Taylor-Joy, especially, like, she does so much with so little, just in her expressions. It's really just, it's what gave Charlize Theron the Academy Award for Furiosa. It was like the same type of this quiet rage and this revenge. You're waiting, right? You're waiting for that switch to flip, and then it finally does when she gets back to the Citadel.
Yeah. This might be one of the best examples of like the trailer lines actually paying off, because a lot of times the trailer line happens in the trailer, then you watch the movie like, I've been waiting for this, but you know, this might be one of the best, like, but do you have it in you to make it epic? And I was like, oh, this is the coolest thing that I've seen this year. This is awesome.
And you just see it, like when she gets back to the Citadel and she gets rescued by Immortan Joe's men, and she's like, I'm Imperator Furiosa, like, take me up. And you're like, oh wait, she cuts the hair, she puts the arm on, and you're like, here it is. Like, it's like a perfect prequel call to heroism kind of moment where, like, sometimes these things don't work with prequels, where, like, how did the character become the character that like sometimes it doesn't work and it can feel forced, but in this, like, it feels very natural when she does like the Furiosa suit up scene, essentially.
And I'll even go further in Anya Taylor-Joy's favor that, you know, you can put some other actresses in here and it's not the same. It doesn't land the same. And I think, again, it's her quiet, grand nature that really propels her as an actor, and I think that's something. She's in Dune. She shows up in Dune, and it's just immediate, like, oh, like I have no choice. It's like I said earlier, it's the Charlize Theron thing. It's like some actors just demand you be there with them. Like, their presence is so demanding. Like, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis has that, like, where it's just like, they're there, so now you're there. You don't have any choice but to ignore. Like, Anya Taylor-Joy might have the best example of that in the modern age. Like, we keep talking about these movie stars that have been around, and like how the movie star, like, we're in a brand new movie star renaissance, like, and all of them are kind of serving these little different purposes that, you know, we had in like the 70s, 80s, 90s. Like, yep. Anya Taylor-Joy's thing is like, she keeps showing up in places and like, oh, now I'm in. Like, I'm just in to whatever she's going to do. And she does not have to talk. She can talk as little as she wants. Yeah, I'm invested.
Yeah, she does kind of have that about her in anything she's in, really, where she does so much with so little. And I think it just comes down to her presence, you know, and you know, it also comes down to like her physicality. Like, she does have this very unique appearance, you know, that can't be, you know, I mean, she's beautiful, but like, she has such this striking appearance that like, you can't help but be like drawn to like her, anything that she's in, because just of like how striking she is, and you're like, you pay attention. It's the best way I can explain it. And then Chris Hemsworth has the opposite thing, where like, he's so brash and so out there, and he just makes these choices with this character that like, you can't help but be drawn to him either. Like, you know, funny enough, like, the person with the least amount of gravitas in this is probably a Morton Joe. Yeah. Like,
but I think, that's why I love the scene with him and Dementis so much, because like, whatever a Morton Joe's atrocities were, didn't, like, there was genuinely a piece of me that was just like, oh, I get where Morton Joe's coming from a little bit, especially when Dementis was there. I was like, this is the most order that anybody would have in this wasteland. Yeah. He's a Morton Joe comparatively to Dementis and his whole ideology, so.
Yeah, because Morton Joe, he has control of these 3 strongholds. So, like, it makes him
not... And everything's fine? Like...
I mean, if you're not... Right. If you're up there.
Right.
But we see when Furiosa returns to the Citadel how horrifying it is down there. Like, underneath the Citadel is like a horrible place where people are being eaten. And it's, you know, you can say like, we have enough resources for everybody, like, and that's the promise Dementis makes, but like, it's easy to make that promise, but when it comes down to actually executing that, like, you realize like, no, you don't have nearly enough resources to provide for all these people, like, you know, and it gets him, it consumes him in the end. But yeah, it's really, really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
We're off to a really great start this year. We're halfway through the year. We're at the June mark, and we've had some really incredible movies this year already too.
Yeah, I do wish this movie had been able to come out, you know, 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, it's the Black Widow thing where, which one are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to sacrifice Anya Taylor-Joy, or are you willing to sacrifice the time this movie comes out?
I mean, I think if that's the choice, like, I would be more open to sacrificing Anya Taylor-Joy, just because if this movie does come out 5-6 years ago, you just get Charlize Theron back.
Yeah, true. Very true.
And I think this movie obviously would be just as amazing. You know, but having Charlize Theron there as like the tether, and her truly following up that performance, like, I think this movie would have done like amazingly. And it's nothing against Anya Taylor-Joy, it's just the timing just was unfortunate for this movie, because I think both her and Chris Hemsworth do amazing things in this movie. So yeah, man, I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I saw it. Should we give out some awards?
I think it's only right.
Cool, let's do it, man. I don't know, start us off.
Most heroic moment? Was it the Bobby Knocker kid? It's the best sacrifice in the whole movie.
It was kind of sad that like he activates that thing and then she looks down and like the bullet hole got through, and I'm like, oh no, not my guy.
Yeah.
No, it's probably Praetorian Jack, or no. I mean, I want to say it's her mother, but also
I'm going her mom, like, easily, because, you know, what more noble thing can you do than?
But both heroic sacrifices ultimately don't pay off.
Yeah, they don't.
Because Furiosa decides, I'm going back in there.
Yeah. Because her mom stood right tip top on business.
Yeah.
Incredible.
She stood on business so much that when she's killing those guys in the canyon, Dementis is like, we gotta go around.
Yeah.
If we keep going through, she's just gonna kill everybody.
Most underrated character? Her mom.
Most underrated character. I think I did like the historian.
Yeah, he was cool. He just added he added a pace to the movie too, and I don't know why that scene stuck with me. Like, I thought it was really innovative. Like, instead of like showing this war, it's just like this almost news really in like a place where news doesn't exist anymore. And
yes,
it's like,
yes, that's a great point.
A chronicling of another war, like you said, like war. Like, war never changes. Like, it doesn't. Like, there will be more after this. There will be more way after this. There's always going to be war. This is just another war that took place over 40 days.
Yeah.
Best battle?
The
gun farm?
I'm going to say the gun farm. Yeah, I think it's between that and the war rig, right?
But it's like, you don't get to the gun farm without the war rig.
Sure. I just like the gun farm. There was a little bit, it's weird to say, like, I felt a little bit more tension in the gun farm fight.
Well, because, funny enough that we joked about, like, the love story, but, like, now I'm actually concerned, because I thought for sure that Praetorian Jack was going to die in there.
But because they do the classic, like, one of them gets trapped in the place, and the other one, like, got out, like, Furiosa got out behind the gate, and then it's just him in there with... You don't even know how many of Dementus's people, because like you don't know the scope of the sneak attack. Like, you don't know if it's just a couple of Dementus's guys. Like, you don't know if it's like him and like a handful of guys, or if it's like everybody. And it turns out it's pretty much everybody. And you're like, oh man, like, and he kind of like gives like Furiosa like the look. You know, the look. Like, I'm not getting out of this one.
I'm not coming back, Chief.
And then she goes back in there, and it's just like obviously again prequelitis. Nothing's gonna happen to her. Like, she didn't even lose her arm yet, for Christ's sake. Like, she's gonna be fine. But like Jack, who's like, credit to the actor, like he does so much with so little. Like, as soon as he comes in, you're like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like this discount Mad Max. And he also had like that Mad Max about him, where like, maybe he will be okay. Like,
but he was very vintage. Like, he was very 80s Mel Gibson Mad Max looking too.
Like maybe he will get out of this. And he does.
He did get out
until he doesn't. So yeah, I think I like the gun farm bit a little bit more than the war rig bit, just because of the tension piece.
Favorite cameo?
Mad Max. Mad Max looking down like Wasteland Jesus. Like, wait, I'm the main character.
Yeah.
I'm the Mad Max.
Yeah.
Is he?
Is Furiosa the main character of both movies?
Yeah. And he's like, wait, this is a Mad Max saga.
Yeah, but like, we're just using you. Best set?
The Citadel?
Yeah, it's always good. It's real good.
Either the Citadel or Gastown. Specifically, Dementus's Gastown.
I like the gun farm quite a bit. I think the gun farm, it's just like, because the gun farm looks like one of the missions in GTA 5.
Yeah.
When you're against what do they call it? What's the military force called? Merryweather?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought of that, but...
Gastown, Dementus's version of Gastown is just this grubby, like, there's hundreds, thousands of people just, like, at each other's throats at all times, and then Dementus just driving around in his monster truck.
Everybody,
calm down.
He's basically running a political ad every time he steps out.
Yes, and he's like, well, he even tells Jack, he's like, everyone thinks this is my fault. It is. Yeah, it is Dementus. Because you're not running things. You're just there having a good time.
Until he's not having a good time. Best heat check performance?
Praetorian Jack. Yeah, I think he qualifies.
Because he doesn't talk a lot either. He's just about his business.
Yeah.
He's not a business.
He hangs off the side of the war rig at one point, just shooting guys, blindly steering.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you are Mad Max.
Yeah. Funniest moment? This movie's funny.
This movie is pretty funny.
This movie is pretty funny.
Dementus, anytime he does anything.
Dementus at the expense of him yapping. That's the funniest moment.
Once he goes full Australian.
Yeah, yep. When Wasteland Jesus is gone and he turns into Chris Hemsworth after a couple cold ones, that's the best version of Dementus that you've ever got.
Yeah.
Best exposition dump? The beginning of the movie, talking about this is the most we've ever known about this world.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This movie does a really great job of being like, this is the lore of Mad Max now. We've given you insanity, now we're giving you lore. And I'm like, ooh, lore 5 movies in. Thanks.
Best exposition dump?
Probably anytime the historian talks, it's an exposition dump.
Yeah, I love the 40-day war.
The war bit. I like the bit at the end where he talks about like what happened to Dementus, because you're like, any of these could have been plausible.
Yeah, or she could have been lying. Or she didn't even tell him anything and he's just making this up.
Right.
I think is what happened.
Yeah, that could be. I think it's entirely possible that she... I think she either...
I don't think anybody noticed a green tree in there.
I think either she tortured him to death.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she shot him.
I think she shot him. I think she just, if you're going to end it, then end it. And she did shoot him. Oh, no, I think she dragged him in the car.
Yeah.
Until he died. Best NPC? Mad Max?
Mad Max. The zealot.
Yeah.
Dementis'
Who's
little
just
zealot
freaking
guy.
out next to him.
Who's doing ASL translation, and then the one time he does after Dementis completely snapped and he's doing it, and Dementis just
throws him on the ground. He's like, "Why would you do that to me?"
He's enough.
Favorite action sequence? That's a tough one.
The war rig sequence is insane.
Yeah, it's nuts. And again, it's important because that's when this movie's this is, and you get it from the opening sequence, but this is I'm strapped in.
Yeah, the war rig sequence is insane. This is nuts. I said, it just keeps building.
Favorite best song? Just kidding. Favorite musical moment?
I actually think the best musical moment is when there's no music and they cut it out.
Yeah, yep.
The absence of sound is the loudest sound in this movie.
I have to agree.
But Tom Holberg's score is tremendous.
Yeah,
again.
It knows when to push. It knows when to hold him. Knows when to fold him. Favorite line?
I like the speech that Dementis gives her at the end. Specifically, right before they're having this back and forth about go ahead, shoot me. I don't care. Furiosa is I'll know. She's I'll feel the kickback of the gun in my hand. He's yeah. He's like, good. Then I'll be dead and you'll just be still wallowing in your sorrows.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you idiot. And then the line that sticks out to me the most is, you can never balance the scales of their suffering. And I'm like, ooh,
wow.
Where did that come from? Wait a minute.
Is George Miller cooking?
So that's mine.
How old is George Miller? He's in his 70s now.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So I don't know he's still making cinema like this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what yours is, but that's mine.
I'm gonna have to agree. I mean, it's tough to pick something else out in this movie. I mean, can I be simple and be when she's like, "I'm Furiosa, take me upstairs." She doesn't say that, but
take me upstairs.
Best fight? The War Boys versus the Raiders.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Specifically from the War Rig fight or battle.
Yeah, like I said, that just kept going. Mm-hmm. And again, the War Boys. Guys,
they're always down for the cause.
They're down for the cause, but come on. Get it together. That one guy in the beginning,
he was doing good.
That one guy was cooking, and then there was I was a big fan of the suicide bomb guy.
Yeah, yep.
Who jumped off the top of the Citadel and exploded. And Dementis is like, whoa, holy shit.
Or not Praetorian Jack. And Morton Joe's like, I have 400 of those guys. So I wouldn't test it because I got thousands of guys that would do the same thing. I don't know what they're huffing and puffing. What are they huffing and puffing?
I don't know. But it makes them explode. And I was like, wait a second.
This universe is incredibly just off the rails. Favorite shot?
There was one that stuck out in my head, and now it happened 7 hours ago, and I can't remember what it was. I remember what it was. It was, I quite like when Furiosa's driving up over the ridge, and the Dementis' guys are chasing her on the bike, and there's just the shot of the sun, the sun setting while she's driving. Everything's kind of cast in shadow, and she's driving up kind of slowly, and they're right behind her, but they're falling. I don't know why, but I really like that shot.
There's a really great shot in the beginning of her mother, when she's kind of she's on the prowl and everything, and she stops and she looks, and it's just I know they did a lot of day for night shooting in this movie too, so it was a really good day for night. She's it's just this incredible wide of her just hunting, and her aura of protection is over everything too. It's really well done. Favorite performance? I'm going with Chris Hemsworth. I think he's just...
I was going to say Chris Hemsworth.
The most fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's just magnetic. It's the most magnetic he's probably ever been, to be honest. Yeah, I think it's the most magnetic he's ever been. Including the Thor movies.
To your point, too, about, the idea that are you going to sacrifice Anya Taylor-Joy? If this movie did come out in 2017 when it was supposed to, you didn't have to sacrifice Chris Hemsworth either.
Yeah, he probably could have done the same exact role, the same exact thing. And I think he needed a performance like this in a movie, you know, where like he kind of shifts the paradigm a little bit. Yeah. I think like he tried to do it, I think, in Men in Black, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work in a movie like that.
But I think it works in this, where people are like, "Whoa, this guy."
Yeah. Favorite character?
Furiosa. Again, Mad Max.
I'm gonna go with Praetorian Joe. I don't know what about this guy I was just in. I was
you were captivated
that guy was,
by Praetorian Jack.
He was about his business. There was nothing but the business. And then he just falls in love too, and he's like, but I'm still about the business. This war rig's not gonna drive itself.
True.
Favorite moment?
Favorite moment is probably just the confrontation, the Dementis Furiosa confrontation, because like
have to agree.
The movie just does such a great job of building to it.
I don't know. I really, really like that Bullet Farm. The whole Bullet Farm sequence is really well done. Again, to your point, let's take away any sort of score. Where like you're in this now, like you're involved, you're enveloped in everything,
and you're in there. And I think the movie does a really nice job of. There's a couple moments I talked about, the one with Jack where he kind of dies in the background, but there's another moment like that too, where something happens, like something's going. Oh, it's when they're, I forget what it was. It was something with Dementis' crew, and it's just focused on Dementis while there's like chaos happening in the background, and I really like when they do that. But yeah, I mean, this is a revenge story, and when Furiosa finally gets him, like as common as it is, like it's a massive moment, and it's my favorite moment, especially like I said, like both facades kind of come down, and they're both really raw with each other. Like Furiosa is full Furiosa at this point, and Dementis kind of lets his facade fade and kind of like exposes like how he really sees the world, and it's really like powerful because you just realize like he was kind of putting on like deep down he was this just maniac who like was a survivor at the end of the day, like, and just used people for his own ill-gotten gains.
Right. And that's Furiosa.
Yeah.
A Mad Max story.
A Mad Max saga.
Sorry, George Miller.
It's not a story, it's a saga.
I had some breaking news for you.
Oh.
The Blade director's out.
No! No.
And we have a new writer for Blade.
No.
So this movie, this writer, I believe, is the 6th writer that's been attached to this project. So Jan Demange has exited Marvel Studios' Blade as the director, the 2nd director to depart from the movie, and there's a new writer who is the 6th writer on this movie.
Wow.
I just, this is like perplexing. I don't have another word. I feel like there's been...
It can't be this hard, right?
That's my point. Like, why is this one the one that's having the biggest issues? And I genuinely do believe it's because people keep walking into this project, and I think people are trying to overcomplicate this as much as they can. When a Blade movie, it could be very simple. Like, I don't think a Blade movie needs to be like, especially since you have Mahershala Ali. Like, I don't know what complications you get out of something like this.
Like, I don't understand why you can't just go back to, like, your early MCU route and make this just a really self-contained origin story. Like, I feel like that would just work.
It doesn't even need to be an origin story. This can just be Blade just being Blade.
Yeah.
And just get a compelling villain, and that's it.
I feel like,
some fun.
Unfortunately, I feel like this ultimately results in this movie just being scrapped and them rolling Blade into the Midnight Suns.
Or they make this a Disney Plus show. I feel like that could be a thing. But I don't know if Mahershala Ali wants to stick around for another show, especially after what happened in Luke Cage.
Right. I would agree with that. I think you would probably lose him. I'm surprised. I'd be very interested to see if he stays on now.
I just don't know how you get two-time Oscar Award nominee and Oscar winner Mahershala Ali, and you're like, yeah, let's make sure this is the project that just can't get off the ground.
I don't think they've ever had a problem like this with a movie before.
I'm very curious to know what's the problem. I don't know why, because I know Mia Goth's in this movie as well, as of right now. I forget the other guy that's in this movie that was in the Underground Railroad, but you got a good cat, and isn't isn't Delroy Lindo in this movie as well too? Mm-hmm. So this cast is already great. Like, this is already a really great cast, an award-winning cast, and this is the one you can't get to. Because, like, I'm really trying to think about it. What's so complicated about this movie that it's not working?
I mean, I don't think they've, like I said, can you recall a time they've ever had a problem with a movie like this before?
This is bad. Like, this is, like, notoriously and infamously bad.
Like, I know Multiverse of Madness had some hiccups. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Scott Derrickson left. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the transition to Sam Raimi was pretty seamless.
And then we got what we got. And we always say that the best parts are the Sam Raimi bits in Multiverse of Madness.
I know Ant-Man had hiccups in the beginning. Like, obviously, Edgar Wright's original plan got scrapped and he left. So they've had directors leave, but now this is going to be your third director, your sixth writer. That's not great. So I don't know. I don't know if it's... I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if it's like a Vision thing. I don't know if it's a Marvel thing where they're like, they want it a certain way and they just can't fit that into whatever the directors are trying to do, and they're just struggling with that. And I don't know. And the crazy thing is, like, the guy that I would have asked to do this movie is already doing a vampire thing.
Yeah. The call but could have been. I mean, see, if he wasn't in the movie, this would be my next call. It would just be Michael B. Jordan would have been my call, because he's already been around the superhero genre for how many years of his life. That would have been an easier call. Like, and somebody that and really impressed. I actually was checking out some scenes from Creed 3 2 days ago, and I'm still impressed, especially that third act of that movie, that last fight that he has. Like, the guy has so much talent behind the camera too. Like, I feel like he could have stepped into something like this. I just got to imagine that they're at this point, like, if they're going to go to a third director, I do feel like it's going to be someone that they're familiar with at this point. Let's let Mahershala Ali direct this thing. I don't know. Like, I think they're kind of like, if they're going to be on their third director and they really want get this movie out, I think they're just going to go with somebody that they worked with before. I can see maybe I forget who directed Moon Knight. I wouldn't be surprised somebody like that takes this. That kind of dips into, like, that darker aspect of the MCU too. So I mean, I know he's busy probably because he's obviously an award-winning composer, but we saw what Michael Giacchino did with Werewolf by Night. The same thing. Yeah, I don't know if that might be. I don't know if he'd be able to do it. I don't know if he, at his point, because that's his directorial debut on, like, a bigger scale. I don't know if he would want to step in, because I do think that Marvel probably has something for him. Maybe it's the Midnight Suns with, like, some help from Kevin Feige. Like, hey, I'm going to help you through this process, but, like, you're going to direct this movie. Mm-hmm. I just don't think if you want to put somebody like Michael Giacchino into something like that, like something that's this disastrous right now. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. That's it's an alarming bit of news, I must say. Man, that's rough. That's rough, man. It really is rough. But thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Breaking news: Blade is a disaster. Yes. Wesley Snipes, let him direct it. Oh no! Going down a dark, dangerous path. I can't have the only appearance in the MCU as his voiceover in the Eternals. Come on. Are you ready for that, Mr. Whitman? That's it. Let Chloe Zhao direct the movie. I don't know. She's not busy. Eternals 2 isn't happening. She can do it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm very interested now in what they're going to actually try and do with this movie. But that's it. We did Furiosa. Great job. Great job, everybody. You get the Project Infinite podcast stamp of approval. What was our scale that we did last week? Yeah, I have my scale. We have to throw it in the scale. This is the best addition that we've made to this entire show, which is great. It's the Project Infinite podcast movie tier list. So yeah. You have the picture. We'll start from the bottom. Straight to DVD. Yeah. Which sounds like Blade at this point. It's something. Yep. Project Infinite cult classics. Yep. Movies. Yep. Films. Yep. And pictures. I think this is a film. I would put it's a teeter in between movies and films. I think this is a film. If Furiosa is a picture, which objectively it is, I think. Yeah. Listen, pictures is the highest we can. Well, the Project Infinite cult classic is. It's our highest. Yeah. But Fast X is there, so for your cinephiles, they're going to be upset about this. So yeah. Pictures is like the highest award. Like,
I think Fury Road's there. Fury Road's really good.
Fury
man.
Road. That movie is magnetic. That movie is
that is a picture.
You know what this feels like? If Mission Impossible Fallout is Mad Max Fury Road, Furiosa is Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yes.
Because, like,
yes.
Fallout is the...
I think that's accurate.
Fallout is the absolute height, in my opinion, of that Mission Impossible franchise. It's that movie, if this makes sense as a like, an adjective to put to it, that movie, or a verb, it's like, that movie echoes.
Yeah.
Like, that movie operates in its echoes. Like, that movie doesn't necessarily tell you everything. It lets it breathe. Mad Max is the same thing. Like, that movie has, like, a breath to it. Like,
yeah.
Breathe in, breathe out to it. And, like, I will let this movie exist. Where, you know, Dead Reckoning and Furiosa have to do a little bit more lifting.
Yep.
Because this is how franchises work as well, too.
Yeah. I think that's a good call. That's a good comparison. I like that.
Yeah, let's put it in the film list. So,
yeah.
Furiosa. I'm not putting the full name. It's too much.
A Mad Max Saga.
Nope.
Mad Max is in this one. we got a Mad Max.
We got a Mad Max.
Yeah. All right. So that's gonna do it for us this week. What was I gonna say to you? I was gonna say something. Oh, you wanted to talk about the Hitman, right?
Yeah, maybe we'll save that because that movie was pretty good, and it's #1 on Netflix right now. That movie's dominating Netflix right now.
Glenn Powell.
Yep. Somebody made an incredible point. This movie comes out in like the Mr. and Mrs. Smith era. This movie is being just, I'm talking #1 at the box office without a second thought, cult classic type of movie. And one of my favorite directors of all time, Richard Linklater. So that he wrote with Glenn Powell, which I think is awesome. So. Yeah, the movie star ascension of Glenn Powell is really... He's like... What did I say? He's kind of like the new age... Like, he's like a amalgamation of, like, Kevin Bacon and, like, Harrison Ford. Like, he's like... It's like a smorgasbord of the two of them together. So...
Just don't do anything you're going to regret, Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell. Don't do it.
Don't make me look foolish again.
We can never do that again.
All right, yeah. So maybe we'll do Hitman maybe next week. Maybe.
You like The Acolyte? Let's not.
It's okay. I told you before, it's aggressively fun.
Yeah.
Which I don't think passes in this day and age for like people. Like people don't like things that are fine.
Yeah, I'm just
like if things are fine, they're bad in people's eyes.
I'm not invested yet. I'm not sold yet.
Well, this is the not problem, but this is the word when we talked about when the trailer came out, I was like, it looks kind of neat, but like, are you going to give me anyone like character wise, like to attach to yet? Mm-hmm. And
I don't have anybody.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
The most interesting character so far was Carrie-Anne Moss's character, and she
died.
Spoiler alert: she dies.
Yeah.
So, and then in this episode, she was present through flashback, and I think that was only because like it's Carrie-Anne Moss. Mm-hmm. So like we got to get her for another one of these.
Soul as well, the actor from Squid Games as well. He's been especially in the last episode. But again, like I don't know if I'm going to attach to him more than like a. I hate to say a cheap knockoff version, but like somebody that's like in the vein of Ben Kenobi. Like that's as much as I feel of him. Like that's about as much as maybe I'll extend. Like I don't have. Like, that's an incredible point. Like I don't have somebody to like grab.
Yeah, and we're going on episode 4. That's a lot of episodes to not be particularly like attached to a character yet.
Next week's the halfway point of the show. So.
Whereas, like, I mean, The Boys is coming out this week. Like, The Boys did not have that problem.
No,
right? They were like
they actually had characters for the characters for me to latch on.
Like episode 1, it's like boom.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
boom, you looking for this?
Like you're already like invested in Huey, and then Butcher shows up, and it's running from there. Like you don't even really get Homelander yet until like the second episode. Mm-hmm. But like you need that grabbing. You need that grabbing mechanism, and I think the Acolyte is kind of struggling with that right now. But like I said, it's fine. Like I'm enjoying it well enough. It's just not.
Yeah, it looks solid. Like they've got some like I said. They got Cinema's Coconata to direct an episode. I wasn't expecting that. I was like, that's pretty dang cool. in a cinema grand perspective of things, like Star Wars, like the original trilogy, is some of the most classic cinema you can ask for, especially on a sci-fi scale. So I'm not surprised, like, for like these directors staying away from like the Marvel television. I'm not surprised that like the Daniels, like Bryce Dallas, like they're going to Star Wars to like get their own little take on this universe that's been so, you know, grand their whole lives and like so around them their whole lives. It's almost like the Force.
Oh.
Let's get out of here, man.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
You don't have to be careful this week. Last week you had to be careful about who you gave to me, but
you can follow us on Twitter at Project _pod. You can follow
this man's job.
You can follow us on Facebook.
I was like Victorian Jack to Mad Max. I took your job.
I'm you. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram
at the Project Infinite Pod.
And yeah, next week we might either A, we'll talk about Hitman, or B, we might just do the 3 episodes of The Boys.
Yeah.
Like as a package.
Yeah.
Because they're doing 3 episodes at once, so we might just do that.
I think we definitely got to talk about Hitman, though. I think that movie is pretty dang important and special, and the same way The Fall Guy is, but for different reasons, but I'll talk about that.
Yeah, so we'll probably just do that. Yeah. So from me, from the Praetorian Jack of the podcast.
Yes, it's one of my favorite ones. Oh, he's got to get added into our character actor list.
Oh, he's there? You think he's there?
I like that guy a lot, man. He's cool. He's really cool. Like, why can't we have cool characters anymore? He's just cool.
We had Mad Max. He did Mad Max better than Tom Hardy, weirdly enough.
Hot take. Get us out of here, man.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week for the Hitman and maybe some other things. We'll see how it goes. Until then, goodbye.
Peace.